This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm delighted to be joined by Sonny Showtime Edwards over Zoom. Sonny, first and foremost, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm all good, thank you. I'm all good.
Good to hear. Now, obviously, you're kind of in this new wave of boxing. You just had a fight announced. You'll obviously be facing Thomas Essomba on August the 29th, I believe your show is. Talk to
Yeah.
me about, first and foremost, how kind of the talks began and how long you've been looking at that fight.
To be fair, they wanted me on the first wave. They would have had me on the first show if they could have got away with it. But I was a little fat bastard over lockdown and went up to a career highest at 67 kilos. I put on loads of weight, like ridiculous amount. Like bear in mind I box at flyweight, super flyweight. So if you do the maths, that's about 15, 17 kilos. You know, I'm overweight. You know what I'm saying? And then I spent the last 7 weeks getting that off, and now I've got under 7 weeks now for my fight. And I'm literally in as good a position as I've ever been with it. Like, my weight now after training this morning is 56 kilos. So I've only got about a 4 kilo weight cut from now. Do you know what I mean? So I've really been on it, to be honest. And yeah, they offered me Essomba for July, mid-July, or late July. But obviously, because I had that big layoff, I told my management, and my management advised me to, we'll be in August. You know what I mean? And then they brought me up to the last show in August, which really is as much time as I could get from being that far out 7 weeks ago. You know what I mean? Having like a full 14-week camp is probably going to be exactly what I need. Do you know what I mean? Because now I'm in full sparring, full training, full running. I'm hitting all my sessions and I'm flying.
How have you found kind of settling back into normal gym life and being able to train every day and what have you?
Easy, to be honest. Like, don't get me wrong, the first couple of weeks it was like just my body was out of condition. You know what I mean? I've suffered with little injuries as well, which sort of makes that problem worse. You know what I mean? I'm not conditioned. Like, my knee goes, my ankle, my back. You know what I mean? I'm in a bad way for the first few weeks. And I'm like sort of half training as much as I can get away with. But, you know what I mean? I need to know when to pull it off. You know what I mean? Just to keep completing the weeks. But now I'm flying. Like, this morning I've been hitting like my fastest ever times on runs. Like, so I'm there really. I'm nice. And I've got 7 weeks until fight night basically. And I'm going to be flying. I think it's honestly going to be the best version of me. I think you can look at the picture I posted today on like my Insta.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not fucking absolutely shredded like some of these boxers out there, but from where I've come from, that's a big change. Let me tell you, it's 11 kilos of you know, spit and sawdust. You know what I mean?
How much more difficult has this camp been so far in comparison to like a normal camp when you haven't obviously got, you know, COVID in the world and lockdown restrictions still in place around the UK?
It's not really been too different, to be honest, because we get a lot of one-to-one time with our coach anyway. So once that was allowed, we were straight back in camp, and then we was doing the outdoor runs. You know, no one catches up with me anyway, so I social distance all the time. You know what I mean? But nah, it's been all right. And you know what? More than anything, I think what's been good is, do you know where no one's been fighting? Like, I haven't feel like I'm missing out. Like, the reason why I fight all the time is I feel like if I'm being benched and I'm waiting in between camps whilst other people, my rivals, are getting good wins, I'm slipping behind. You know what I mean? Like, I'm falling off the pace. And now with this, like, I had a good starting point where I weren't in the pressure to get no correct fight day. I was just enjoying being in the gym again. Do you know what I mean? Enjoying. So I did have a big layoff. If you think about it, after the Marcel fight, I had about 3 months really, like, not punching. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't allowed to punch. So I had that layoff. Then I was in camp, and I'd only been in camp for about 3 or 4 weeks, and then my fight got called off. So it was disappointing, but really probably the best thing that's ever happened to me, because now my hands are 100%. Like, I'm absolutely flying. So yeah, like, it's mad how things work out. But obviously, if Corona never happened, then I would have been injured, and people would have been making progress. Luckily for me, in some ways, I guess, is that I was injured and lockdown came and stopped everything for everyone. So I didn't really miss out. Do you know what I mean? And I was going to have a hard fight. And I'll be honest, my hands weren't 100% when I was training for my fight in May. They weren't. My right hand wasn't. My left hand perfect, but my right hand was still hurting. Then that extra 8 weeks of just resting, it's done now. It's not even in the back of my head no more.
Sonny, talk to me a bit more about Thomas. Thomas is a very good opponent. He's got a record which possibly don't do him justice for the type of fighter he is and how good of a challenge he should be able to provide you with. And he's fought some well-respected names in boxing. What are you expecting from him when you two meet?
Well, he's tough, and he comes to go, and he's fit, and he's strong, and he hits hard, and he can take a punch, and he can box a little bit. So he's just a good fighter. Do you know what I mean? You don't go to the Olympics if you're not a good fighter. You know what I mean? I, as well as many other boxers, fell short of that dream. You know what I'm saying? But he lived that. And I was there as a volunteer in the 2012 Olympic Games. When he boxed Paddy Barnes, I was sat pretty much front row. Like, I'm pretty sure I didn't walk out Paddy or him for that fight, but I was there and I watched it. You know what I mean? Because obviously the 49 kilos, I stayed and made sure I watched them all. Do you know what I mean? And I remember, from what I can remember, he gave Paddy a very hard time. I think it was like a count back or something, if I can remember rightly. I might be miles off, but he gave him a right hard time. And then he come over here and he was one sec. Yeah, and then like I knew he was a tough fighter. We knew that when we accepted. But that's the sort of fights I want. I mean, a lot of people look at his record, 10 wins, 5 losses, and be like, oh. If you look at it, one of his losses was like 10 years ago when he like turned pro for one fight and went back. And then he's lost against Jay Harris, who pushed someone, a world champion, right to the edge. British Commonwealth champion, world ranked Lee McGregor. Do you know what I mean? Like Carl Williams, who's fought for British, and in a close 1 point fight. So really, it's a good test and like measuring stick. And I'm looking forward to it. And I think I've got the style really to sort of terrorize him a little bit. But until I get in there and prove that, we don't know. So.
Talking about, you said you don't really know until you are in there, but in your own mind, how do you expect it to come out? Do you expect it to be a matter of he's just going to walk forwards and you'll be your usual slick style boxing and moving, or do you think you'll have to offer something different against Thomas?
I don't know. To be honest. With me, I adapt. I adapt with what's in front of me. I come out first couple rounds, scouting mission, and then go from there. So if he wants to sit off me and make it slow and boring, I can do that. If he wants to push, pressure, I love that. Do you know what I mean? That's playing into my hands. When I don't have to think and I can just react, that's when I'm at my best, I believe. Like, that's when people are struggling to hit me the most, and when they're making themselves silly and walking onto shots the most. So really, I would entertain a 12 round of pressure. And I think that's probably, arguably, they'll probably look at me and think, he's not in the best shape. Even though I've always shown my fitness in the fight. You know what I mean? But people, I think most time they think, oh, we'll be able to get him. We'll be able to slow him down. We'll be able to weather him. But no one has as of yet. And people have caught me clean, as they've seen. I've been down a couple of times. You know what I mean? I make no secret of that. Maybe they caught me a good shots. Maybe I've got a bit of a glass chin, but I always get back up. So it's one of those things. He can keep coming, and I expect the best Thomas Essomba, because this is his chance, and I'm sure he wouldn't have got paid better than he's getting paid for me. I can only imagine. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm lying, but I think this is his chance to really have a go at professional boxing. Do you know what I mean? He's had a couple, like Lee McGregor, he's had Jay Harris, but I think this is probably his highest profile fight, and he's coming off the back of 2 big wins. Sean McGoldrick, that he was on GB with me, Commonwealth Games medalist, a great fighter, very tough, weights above me, a few weights above me even, and obviously Essomba beat him, and then went into Kazakhstan or wherever he went and knocked out one of their prospects, 7-0. So he's ranked top 15 in WBA because he has one of their titles. Former Commonwealth champion, former English champion. So people complain about his opponent, but people that actually know boxing know that it's a good step up. You know what I'm saying?
It's obviously hard to call for this moment in time, but provided obviously the bout with Thomas goes to plan, how do you actually expect the rest of the year beyond it playing out for yourself? Do you think that obviously depends on what happens with shows and if fans can come back in and what have you, but do you expect to be out once more after that?
Yeah, I'd be surprised if I wasn't. I'll be completely honest. I feel like the vibe that I'm getting from my promoter and BT is they'll get me out as much as I want to get out. Do you know what I mean? I think I proved that with 6 fights, 14 months, and a 2-month layoff injury. Do you know what I mean? And they'd offer me another fight in between all of that, so it could have been 7. Do you know what I mean? If I was fit and healthy. So I think that's been proven that BT, Frank Warren, they want me on their slots. Do you know what I'm saying? Especially now with Charlie as well. So I think, get this out of the way. When the doors open, I want to show my brother, man. We've never done it, but we fought on one show before, and that was, I think, my 3rd or 4th amateur fight of all time. Do you know what I mean? It was in Circus Tavern. It was Circus Tavern, if anyone knows what that is. It's like some venue that's, I don't know, maybe East London sides or Essex sides. I'm not too sure.
But obviously, Sonny, we have just had boxing return this past Friday night. We saw Brad Foster defeat James Beach Jr. Just to touch on that, what was your thoughts on it and kind of the overall event itself? What did you make of everything?
You know what? I'm going to be dead honest. I didn't tune in, I can't even lie. I was busy doing something, and I gave my BT box to my trainer's dad, so he could watch it. He loves it. He couldn't get on. He rang up Sky and it was like, you got to wait for another card to come. So I was like, oh, dropped it round and it went bump straight onto him. So I let him have it. But I caught up with all the results. And do you know what? Brad Foster is a lovely lad. Like the first time I met him was when I headlined against Guineros on BT, and he had the fight with Lucian Reed, the first one. And we spent a few days together, and I got a lot of time for him. Lovely lad, great fighter, taking risks. Won the British outright in Commonwealth, like at 22. From a kickboxing background, it's great for the lad. There wasn't a second of me thinking that beach was going to beat him, no. But I think it was a voluntary, wasn't it? So yeah, so he's done his job. So and he wasn't a bad opponent. I just thought Brad had too much for him, and then but I looked at the highlights. He proved that he did. He was a bit battered and bruised, old Beach, but Brad is a good fighter. Like no one can take that away from him. Look at the names he's already got on his record. Lucian Reed, ABA champion. Fucking the second time he really gave it to him as well. Let's be real. The first time, obviously, I was coming out of my fight getting drug tested and that, so I didn't watch the first one. I didn't even catch up on it, if I'm honest. But I watched the highlights, like I said. But the second one, I watched the entirety of it. I watched it live, and it looked dangerous. Brad, didn't he come out with fucking like Lucian pissed in his cornflakes or something, and he proper gave it to him. Like, and I was surprised because Lucian is a tough fighter. He's a tough lad. He's a good boxer. Do you know what I mean? And he showed in the first fight how close they really were. So obviously, you got to think what happened in camp to make it that you know what I mean, that much of a change. Something's got to happen. Like whether Lucian took it off a bit easy, thinking, "Oh, I'm going to get him this time," and Brad thought, he caused me a bit of an upset there, and people think I lost. So let me really get on it. Do you know what I mean? Because it wouldn't have been nice for Brad hearing, Francis Warren walking around and saying, "I think Lucian won that." Do you know what I mean? But it's part of the game. If that's his opinion, that's his opinion. He was a priority there, and he said his opinion. You know what I'm saying? But it wouldn't have been nice to hear that. So he probably had a rat stone in his shoe the whole camp. I would have.
Obviously, shows are behind closed doors as well, so I know you didn't watch this show just gone, but with regards to yourself, how do you feel you will adapt to boxing without, a crowd there?
I've boxed in halls with literally no one in before, basically. I've boxed like at 12 o'clock at night, cover box, when only my people were there. I sold quite a lot of tickets for that fight. But we've gone like to countries all around the world and boxed in little leisure centres and stuff that no one is there. Do you know what I mean? So it's not a big difference. And I think the way I box as well, like I'm consistently scoring and not really getting caught too much clean. Like it kind of numbs the crowd a few times. I think I've heard that a few times. Not because the work isn't good and not enjoying what they're seeing, but it's just a consistent because I stay to my pattern. Do you know what I mean? And I don't care, to be honest. Like obviously it'd be nice to have fans there, and why wouldn't it be? But if I can get out and fight and still put on a show, it's on TV, then I'm gonna do just that.
So in your fight, which I also wanted to get your thoughts on something like, I know you threw your hat into the ring when he was floating around. It was probably about a few weeks ago now. The Maruti fight. Did anything ever come about, or do you think that's a fight which may well happen next? If obviously once again everything goes to plan against Thomas Essomba?
I don't know, to be honest, but I think if it did, I think obviously Maruti operates at a much higher level than Essomba. Well, a higher level, actually, not much higher, a higher level. But I think that's a great preparation fight. It's one of them learning fights, like similar-ish styles, like same sort of work ethic. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think I like Murray. Obviously, he's a great fighter. Hasn't been beaten in 10 years. Lost to Donaire on a cut, and he was, I think, 1 point down. Do you know what I mean? So he's a great fighter. Stopped Casemiro, Tete. He's got a great resume, and he's still smashing now. What, 37?
Yeah.
36, 37. Like I said, I've said time and time again, I know him personally. I've spent time with him, like 2-3 weeks in Ukraine with him. But, give me a world title opportunity, like, could be anyone on this planet, and I'm going to want to take it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't really get them all too often. So, yeah, after this fight, I'm going to most likely get pushed up the IBF rankings as long as I win. I'm 6th at the moment, defending against a decent lad. You know what I mean? I should get pumped up to about 4th, maybe. I would say 5th, maybe. So that's one step in the right direction. But until I get that number one spot, or something happens to number one, I'm number two or something, I'm always going to just be a voluntary. Do you know what I mean? So I need to keep grinding. I need to have a couple more fights, get my WB up to number one, IBF up to number one, build up my WBC, beating Thomas Essomba put me in the WBA. So I'm in a great place, really. Like, and I know, like, a lot of boxing people, they just want, world title fights. One second. I know they just want world title fights constantly, but and big name fights. But you know, when you got, like, I feel like I've been taking good fights for the last years of my career. Do you know what I mean? Like purposeful fights. But the big fights will come. But I just need to make sure that everything's set up, my contract and everything, so I'm paid right. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, that is what we do it for. Like, as much as I want the glory, I want the belts, I want the legacy. Each fight you're taking, the main thing you're thinking is, you know, like, is this fair? Do you know what I mean?
Sonny, before I let you go, obviously you mentioned Charlie earlier on. Obviously, I know that he's just announced that his partner is not about to give birth. But obviously, he's pregnant and getting ready for that period of his life to kind of come into play. How's everything looking there?
Yeah, I mean, he's over in Sweden at the moment, with, I think, some of her family more. And yeah, he's really excited. I think, especially seeing me have a child, you know, before him, and that, like, and obviously he dotes on it. He adores Chance, my son. Do you know what I mean? So obviously it's something that it's in their life experience that you can't wait for. So he's buzzing. Do you know what I mean? Obviously they don't think they know what having yet. I think it's too early, but I think anything, boy, girl, as long as it's healthy, it's a blessing for the family. And obviously being able to introduce another grandkid to my mum and that is great. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I'm sure that's a big thing for him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, are you looking forward to becoming an uncle?
Yeah, like, because you got to remember, like, I'm the youngest of the three. There's me, my sister, my older sister, and my brother who's in the middle. Well, me and my brother are close, when my sister's, like, a lot older. But I had the first grandchild, does that make sense? I was the first of the generation. So it's nice that Chance can have some cousins on my side rather than just on his mum's side. You know what I mean? It's gonna be nice. And obviously I know how much it can change you as a man. It can zero you in, it can focus you in, because it has done with me massively. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm excited to see what comes of it, because Charlie's quite a driven person anyway. But you know, when you're providing for someone, like, another mouth to feed, it's a lot of things changing in your head, I think. And I think it usually makes the man, doesn't it, when they have that responsibility, or the, you know, people that sort of skate off and don't have anything to do with the kids. Like, I can't respect that. But I mean, it usually goes one of two ways. People either step up or they step down. And obviously, I'm never suggesting Charlie would step down for a second. He's gonna absolutely adore that kid, just like the whole family would. He's gonna be surrounded by so much love. That's all they're ever gonna know. Do you know what I mean? And it's exciting, obviously. So for us personally, obviously, I know no one else was asked, but for us, it's nice. You know what I mean? It's a good stage, man. It's exciting things, isn't it? Especially, like, there's a lot of new things. Like, obviously with BT now as well. Bought a house. Like, things are going places. Things are really going places. You know what I mean? And we put a lot of work in to get to where we are right now. Me and my brother. And like, when you start getting your nice roots and foundations, and you start seeing rewards for your success, like, he just bought his first house. You know what I mean? He's buzzing with that. And now he's got a kid on the way. Now it's like perfect timing. You know what I mean? Timing is perfect timing. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Sonny, of course, I wish them both, a lot of success and happiness with the newborn. When it does come, I keep on acting as if it's already here, but obviously it comes. But Sonny, it's been a pleasure to catch up with you. Before I let you go, what would you like to say to everyone who tunes in to watch our interview?
Just obviously thanks for all the support. Obviously, there'll probably be a lot of positive, a lot of negative. I kind of retract that. But yeah, like, I'm just glad that we're all coming to the light at the end of the tunnel now. You know, boxing shows are back. People are in pubs making themselves look stupid again. Like, it's nice. It's world is back to normal a bit. You know what I mean? Things are resuming. Just need to have some crowds, and because let's be real, like, this might be controversial. I don't keep up with how, like, public are responding to it no more. But like, it's like coronavirus is just up and left, isn't it? Really, let's be real. It's just, so I don't know why we're all doing what we're doing, to be honest. Like, it's like it's just got off and fucked off. So anyone that's choosing to go outside, go to the shops, go to the pubs, bars, gyms, just let them get on with it at this point. Because I feel like they wouldn't be opening these places if there was real that chance. You know what I mean?
Sonny, we'll leave that there now then. And as I say, it's been a pleasure to catch up with you. Stay safe, mate, and I'll hopefully speak to yourself, your brother, and what have you soon, and be able to do an interview in person. Thank you for speaking to Boxing Social.
Cheers, mate.